show him any happy birthday wishes he gets in the comment section. And speaking of YouTube, we are now live on the 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. Already started on the audio version, but just going live on YouTube right now. So welcome to anyone who may be watching on YouTube right now or on one stream live. And I don't talk about this as much as I should, or actually I'm not sure if I ever have, but I know I'm definitely not the most technological person in the world. I can barely do this. But on one stream, there's a chat. I don't know if that's separate than YouTube. If there's a live chat, to be honest, I am not sure at all. I have no idea if it's the same chat on both YouTube and one stream, or if they're separate, who knows. But like I was just saying, I was in the middle of it when the YouTube stream started, when we went live up on the 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. But I was just saying to everybody listening that yesterday I mentioned this on Good Morning Wrestling Fans, was Bruiser Brody's birthday. If you're familiar with the 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel, I'm sure you have seen Bruiser Brody on here. So if you want, in the comment section, you can send him a belated happy birthday wish if you want to. I'm sure that would, even though it's a day later or so, I'm sure that'll make him very happy to see some of the 360 Wrestling Podcast fans sending him a birthday wish. But now, without any further ado or wasting any more time, let's get into the main reason for this episode 699 tonight. And that is TNA Lockdown. I got my Liquid Death right here. Sinister Ginger. Just opened it up. Take a quick sip of that. TNA Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. For the first time in a decade, they locked it down, brought back Lockdown, Pro Wrestling's only all steel cage pay-per-view. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it actually was going to come back at one time in 2020. And I want to say it was going to be during WrestleCon, during WrestleMania weekend. But of course, 2020, COVID was canceled. Of course, WrestleMania that year taking place in an empty performance center. So that did not happen. And when it was canceled that year, it was never rescheduled or anything. And I remember being a little disappointed at the time because I was always a big fan of the Lockdown pay-per-views, and there was definitely at least a couple years, or if not more, where Lockdown was one of the best pay-per-views of the TNA year, in my opinion anyway. And I've seen other people online say that too. Other podcasts, radio shows. So I was looking forward to tonight when we got the return of Lockdown to the TNA pay-per-view schedule. But the question is, I was wondering, is this going to be an annual thing every year? Brought back to the TNA pay-per-view schedule. Definitely, I hope so. Maybe it'll depend on the buy rates for the pay-per-view. Maybe also the TNA Plus subscriptions. People know TNA's coming back and they got the new VIP thing. Maybe a lot of people signed up for that. But again, without wasting any more time, I'm going to just get right into it. The main part. Sorry for skipping the countdown show, but just going to get right into the main pay-per-view. I know it was an earlier start, but 6 p.m. But TNA Lockdown live from Chicago, Illinois at the Credit Union One Bank Arena. Our commentators for tonight, Tom Hannafin and the Drama King, Matthew Raywalt. Ring announcer, unfortunately, Mackenzie Mitchell was not on the pay-per-view tonight. The ring announcer, honestly, I'm not sure what his name is, but I've heard him there at shows before. Like if you watch Thursday Night Impact on TNA Plus, they keep the camera on during the commercials, and there's been times where you've heard him talking to the live crowd in the arena. Now let's get right into the action. Remember, Lockdown, of course. So every match is taking place inside the steel cage. And now they had this one other time a little while back when they had a cage match on Impact. This isn't the traditional steel cage, the fencing. And this is the steel bars. It's a black one, but more like the steel big blue cage WWF used back in the day at one time. Most famously would probably be WrestleMania 2. I believe it was Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy in the big blue cage. I even remember at one time the wrestling radio show, I don't think it's on anymore, but In Your Head Wrestling Radio, Jackie Jones and 1 Inch Biceps at one time had a whole about which cage is either the big blue cage or like the steel mesh cage. That's pretty much a fence. To be honest, just my opinion. That's all. But I'd say I probably would prefer just the fencing, the steel cage, which I've heard wrestlers prefer that too, which I don't blame them because going into the steel bars, I'm sure, probably does not feel all that great. And our first match of the night, AJ Francis and the Drifter Elijah. Pretty good match. I thought this feud has been all right. At one time, AJ Francis got the rights to all of Elijah's music and everything, and they had a match where Elijah got it back, and having this one, the final encore. Elijah at one point had the advantage over Francis, but then Expressions wheeled out in a wheelchair. Got involved in the match. One point looked like Elijah had the match won, was about to defeat AJ Francis. But then Expressions jumps right in the cage, in the ring, and breaks up the pin. And with another distraction from Expressions, AJ Francis pins Elijah to get the win, 13 minutes, 29 seconds. Pretty good match. I want to say it was really that great or anything spectacular, but it was all right. I'll give it 3.5 out of 5 ring bells. Next up, the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships are on the line, which this match was originally scheduled to be Demon Bunny, Allie, and Rosemary defending the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships against the Elegance brand, M by Elegance and Heather by Elegance. But Rosemary has vanished and missing. So Allie have to come up with a replacement, and she did, which we saw an interview on the just before the match on the pay-per-view. Gia Miller interviewing Allie backstage. And Allie says we'll find out the identity of her partner when the Elegance brand does. But we don't have to wait long because that match is next. And Allie's tag team partner making her return to TNA. None other than Kiera Hogan, which I'm glad to see. Apparently, she was recently released from AEW. I have to admit, maybe I missed it if it was in the news, but I don't remember hearing or seeing anything about it. So maybe it was in the news, and like I said, I might have just missed it, but I don't remember. I know that it's been a while since she has been used or anything, but I haven't heard anything about her actually being released. But apparently she has gone from AEW and back in TNA. All right, match. It was a decent match. And we have still TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Allie and, well, Kiera Hogan's not the regular partner, but Allie and Kiera Hogan victorious in this one, defeating the Elegance brand 7 minutes 38 seconds. Like I said, not a bad match at all. I'll give it 3 out of 5 ring bells. Next on TNA Lockdown, we have Escape the Cage. Moose taking on the self-proclaimed TNA King of TNA, Frankie Kazarian. And Moose is played out by a group, Atlas, playing violins, and I think it might have been a cello playing his theme song. Not bad. And I never heard of them though, but they did a pretty good performance for Moose's entrance and theme song. Good match, I would say. There was some pretty good back and forth here in this one. Big fan of Moose, and gotta respect Kazarian as well. Using the cage as a weapon, and the finish of the match. We've seen this at least once or twice in different cage matches in pro wrestling history, where Kazarian was standing on the ring apron between the ropes and the cage. Moose hits Kazarian with a spear, but he's standing right by the door, and the spear knocks him right through the door, and he lands on the floor. So, escaping the cage, he wins the match. 14 minutes, 16 seconds. Pretty good match. I will give this one, I'll say probably 3.5 out of 5 ring bells. The TNA Knockouts World Championship is on the line next, as the TNA Knockouts champion Zaya Brookside defends against Chicago's own Elena Black. Good video package for this match, going over how it's in Elena Black's hometown, how she has family there, of course, as you would expect. And the match, it was actually even better than I expected it to be. And you got Zaya Brookside, very talented worker in the ring. Same thing could be said about Elena Black, the former Cora Jade. And we got color in this match. And definitely was not the first time tonight we got color. It was a bloody night, which in pro wrestling you have steel cage matches, one of the things that you kind of automatically expect or assume is there's going to be blood. And there was Cora Jade getting busted open by the steel bars on the cage. And then Zaya Brookside using the belt, which she has used on Thursday Night Impact. And I'm not sure if there's a name for it or not. Bomb belts. You know, it's got that thing that you put through the holes. She took that and stabbed her in the forehead where she was already bleeding. Look, like the legendary Gordon Sully would say, the Crimson Mask. Almost kind of like a horror movie, even. So much blood on the face. Very good match. And she lost in her hometown, but I thought Elena Black did look pretty good. Looked strong in this match. And I really enjoyed it. I will give it 4 out of 5 ring bells. I definitely recommend it if for some reason you missed Lockdown tonight. Definitely check that out if you can. Next on Lockdown, the TNA International Championship on the line. This one has been building for a little while. The TNA International Champion, Top Notch, Jason Hodge, taking on the leader of Order 4, Mustafa Ali. Jason Hodge winning the TNA International Championship from Ali on Thursday Night Impact in Philadelphia. And fun match. Some back and forth in there. And at ringside was the wife and daughter of Jason Hodge. His daughter has a stuffed animal. And Ali goes out, grabs that, and goes back in the ring. And at one time he's even... Well, first I have to kind of retract a little bit, go back. Hodge is bleeding from his mouth. Looks like he's out of it on the floor. And they go to take him out. And then Ali gets the stuffed animal from Hodge's daughter. Gets in the ring. Looks like he is about to set it on fire. But then Jason Hodge gets back up and attacks Ali. And Ali ends up getting the win to become the new TNA International Champion, defeating Jason Hodge 14 minutes 21 seconds. And then after the match, Jason Hodge's partner, as a part of Order 4, helps him to the back. Very good match. I'll give this one 4 out of 5 ring bells as well. And next on the TNA Lockdown pay-per-view, we have the TNA Wrestling debut of the Phenomenal Son, Avery Styles. Of course, I'm sure most people, or at least the people listening to this podcast right now, know that Avery Styles is the son of the phenomenal AJ Styles, which lately has been being talked about on the internet about couple of certain things. I won't get into that story now, but I'm sure most people who are listening or watching this episode now probably have heard about it. It's been all over the internet. But we get the debut and we find out that TNA has signed Avery Styles, which I am looking forward to seeing him in action. I saw the video of his first match, which he hasn't even been wrestling that long. It was about maybe a month or so. My time could be off, I'm old. But definitely has not been wrestling for very long at all. But you never know. We'll just have to wait and see. The TNA X Division Championship is on the line in a last man standing match. The TNA X Division Champion, representing the system, Cedric Alexander, defending against the youngest in charge and former and second longest reigning youngest X Division champion in TNA history, Leon Slater, for now. Because the stipulation in this match was if Cedric Alexander defeated Leon Slater, that his record-setting reign of him becoming the X Division champion and being second longest reigning X Division champion in TNA history would be erased. And they explained this. Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt explained that it would go, the X Division championship history would go from Moose, who Leon Slater won the title from, and then it would be considered inactive and just go right to Cedric Alexander. But now to the match on TNA Lockdown tonight. Last man standing. Another bloody match on this pay-per-view. But I'm not complaining. I thought this one was awesome. And definitely not surprised when you got two awesome wrestlers like Cedric Alexander, like Leon Slater in that ring. You know it's going to be a fun, entertaining match. And that's exactly what it was. Slater hitting 3 lumbar checks and hitting the Swanton 450. Led to the 10 count. Leon Slater was the last man standing, new TNA X Division champion for the second time, I believe. 13 minutes, 14 seconds. This one, I'm going to go ahead and give it 4.5 out of 5 ring bells. Was definitely a big fan of this match, and it is definitely one that I would recommend as well. Hopefully everyone saw the match tonight, but if for some reason you did miss it, definitely make sure you see this match. Again, 4.5 out of 5 ring bells. And like I always say, to be fair, my match ratings are just my opinion. So if you agree with them or disagree with them, that's just my opinion. But next up, we have Lethal Lockdown. which is the signature match of Lockdown, and kind of similar to War Games a little bit. And we have the System, Bear Bronson, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and Alicia Edwards taking on the team of Fabian Eichner, Casey Navarro, Ricky Sosa, and Jada Stone. We start things off the first two in the ring, Bear Bronson representing the System and Fabian Eichner. Next up, we have Brian Myers, and then Casey Navarro, Eddie Edwards, Ricky Sosa, which it was after he was in the ring, but we got the bang, bang, Sosa chants, which I'm a fan of. Because at first, since we didn't get an actual regular entrance from Ricky Sosa, I was kind of surprised, a little disappointed that they didn't have his entrance, because Sosa's over with the crowd and they're always doing the bang, bang, Sosa with him. I thought they would have missed out on not having that, but luckily we got that. Then Alicia Edwards and Jada Stone. Once again, another bloody match on this pay-per-view. Again, I'm not complaining about it, but we had a barbed wire board, had thumbtacks, a barbed wire bat, which was one of the weapons on the ceiling. Once all the superstars were in the match, had the garbage can lid, kendo stick, and a stool of barbed wire, which Fabian Eichner wrapped around his arm and hit, I believe it was Brian Myers, I believe. I could be wrong. If I am, I'm sorry about that. But in the end, it's Eddie Edwards pinning Ricky Sosa to get the win for the System, 17 minutes, 42 seconds. I enjoyed the match. Where would I rank it on the list of Lethal Lockdown matches in TNA history, though? I'm going to say it was the best. But I'd probably have to say maybe somewhere kind of close to the top. Maybe 4, 5, 4th, 5th place, somewhere around there, maybe. But it was still an enjoyable match for me anyway. I thought it was a really good match. Definitely not boring. It had my interest the whole match. Again, 4.5 out of 5 ring bells. And now it is time for the main event of TNA Lockdown 2026. The TNA World Tag Team Championships being defended. The GOATs, the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, defending against the Namath brothers, Nick Namath and Ryan Namath. And this one, pretty good match. It wasn't a bad match, but my only complaint that I really have about it is that maybe a little short, in my opinion, and then it just kind of ended. I don't know if I'd say abruptly, but it just Matt Hardy putting Ryan Nemeth through a table, Jeff Hardy caught between the apron of the ring and the cage, so was not able to break up the pinfall. And then Nick Nemeth hits Danger Zone on Matt Hardy for the pin and the win. New TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Nemeth brothers, 12 minutes, 5 seconds. Like I was saying, it's not that it really was a bad match or anything like that, but I didn't think it was as good as it could have been. And like I said, was kept kind of short. These days, just a little over 12 minutes for a main event of the pay-per-view, I wouldn't say it's really bad, but me, I would think a pay-per-view main event would at least last maybe 15 to 20 minutes, if not longer than that. But the finish just fell, for me, a little flat, kind of. I wasn't really that big of a fan of it. So overall, the match, not trying to be too tough or mean, but I'd say 3 out of 5 ring bells. Of course, you love the Hardys. Big fan of Nick Nemeth. Ryan Nemeth, so. But, and I feel like they could have had a better match, to be honest. So overall, that was TNA Lockdown 2026. My overall rating, was I a little disappointed with the finish for the main event? Yes. But also the other matches on the card I thought delivered. Did not think, in my opinion anyway, that there wasn't anything bad at all on this pay-per-view. Was not bored at all. Did not feel like the pay-per-view dragged. Just went over maybe a minute or two over 3 hours. But wait, there's more. Like Billy Mays used to say, and I had them right here in my notes too, but for some reason I forgot. The match ended. New TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Nemeth brothers, but this is actually not the end of the pay-per-view, because we get the new TNA X Division champion, Leon Slater, making his way out to the ring. And we find out at this time that Leon Slater is using option C, which anyone listening right now for some reason does not know what option C is what. They haven't really done it a whole lot lately, but it's where the current TNA X Division champion can, I guess they say, trade in the X Division championship and receive a shot at the TNA World Championship. That is what Leon Slater is doing. He turned in the title, handed it to TNA President Carlos Silva, and will face the TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth October 12th at Bound for Glory. It's early, just a little less or so than 2 months away, but I'm going to call it now, just so if it does happen, you can go back here on YouTube, Spreaker, or wherever you listen to the podcast at, and hear it that I predicted it. Leon Sater, new TNA World Champion at Bound for Glory. Like I said, it's early, but I'm calling it now. Leon Sater, I believe, will be defeating Nick Nemeth at Bound for Glory for the TNA World Championship. I could be wrong, which I am quite a bit sometimes, but I really think that they are going to put the title on Leon Slater, or at least I hope so anyway. I think he's deserving, worthy of having the world title. And I think his career is just going to keep going up, 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 in a way, sorry. But I think he's going to definitely be a big star in the business. Also, one more mention, the theme song for Lockdown this year was by Chris Bay, called Fade Away. And definitely glad to see Chris Bay doing well. Don't know, speaking of Chris Bay, back there on part of my autograph wall, if you're watching the video version, you can see that right there. But big fan of Chris Bay, and hopefully, kind of selfishly, as a fan, I do hope that one day we can see him back in the ring. And a while ago on Chris Van Vliet, the interview he did with him, I know he said that he would definitely want to get back in the ring. The greatest story ever told, I believe he said. And I know I've talked about this before on the podcast, but I was there at the Impact tapings here in Detroit when the injury took place. It was a scary time to be there live. Of course, they ended up not airing the match with ABC versus the Hardys, but with understandable. I know why they did not show the match, but like I said, I definitely don't know if he ever will, and I know he's happy now doing his music and everything. Definitely wish him the best. And if he's able to, if he wants to, hope to see him back in the ring, at least for one more match. And that was tonight's TNA Lockdown pay-per-view. Again, I enjoyed it. Definitely thought it was a great pay-per-view. Even though a little disappointed with the finish of the main event. But you can let me know your thoughts and your opinions on TNA Lockdown in the comment section, either right here on Spreaker or wherever you listen to 360 Wrestling podcasts at. If the website or the app you listen to on has a comment section, you can email me 360wrestlingpodcasts@gmail.com. You can follow and talk pro wrestling with me on social media, Instagram 360 Wrestling Podcasts, on X at 360 Wrestling Pod. And I believe that is everything. Also, you can help out and support 360 Wrestling Podcasts. You don't have to if you aren't able to. But if you are able to and you want to, you can help out, have PayPal, have Buy Me a Coffee, and you can support right here on Spreaker. But that is all for this TNA Lockdown recap right here on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 699. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in, whether it's the audio version or the video version, which 360 Wrestling Podcasts YouTube channel, by the way. Please subscribe, like the videos, comment on the videos, and share with all your friends, your family, neighbors, co-workers, any wrestling fans you know. If you could do that, it would help out. I'll be back tomorrow for the Monday episode of 360 Good Morning Wrestling Fans to preview tomorrow night's WWE Monday Night Raw. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I hope you all enjoyed TNA Lockdown just as I did. And until tomorrow morning, have a, wrong podcast. Get a little confused sometimes. Let me rewind and go back. I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.